Boris Johnson, Prigozhin's last thought was Putin. CNN, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has alleged that Russian President Vladimir Putin must have killed Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin and said there can be no peace negotiation with Putin on Ukraine. Writing in a Daily Mail op on Saturday, Johnson speculated about Prigozhin's last moment. Just days after plane believed to be carrying the Wagner bosses crashed in a field northwest of Moscow while en route to St. Petersburg. It is not clear yet what caused the plane crash, but US and Western intelligence officials that CNN has spoken to believe it was deliberate. It cannot have been more than a few seconds between the explosion aboard the otherwise reliable Embraer Legacy 600 Executive Jet and the moment the Russian tug blacked out in his vertiginous acceleration to Earth, and yet in that instant I'm certain that I knew with the perfect clarity what had happened, Johnson wrote. He knew whose hidden hand was sending him to 28,000 feet down to be immolated with the rest of his Wagner Group companions in a fireball in the countryside of the Tver region north of Moscow, and then on downwards, of course, for the shade of Prigozhin, down to Hades and the Tartarian pit below. He went on to say that the man allegedly behind the killing of Prigozhin was the very same man who authorized, for instance, the poisonings in the UK of Alexander Litvinenko and Sergei Skripal. As the detonation sucked the air out of the aircraft cabin, I would wager that the last thought in the doom of Prigozhin's skull was Prigozhin, preceded by one of the many profanities in which the former jailbird and the hot dog salesman was so fluent, Johnson wrote. Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The plane crash thought to have killed Prigozhin came exactly 2 months after the Wagner boss launches the short-lived rebellion in Russia. Experts have questioned whether the Wagner group can survive without Prigozhin. The Kremlin on Friday said that all necessary examinations, including genetic testing, were underway to determine whether Prigozhin was killed in Wednesday's crash. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov vehemently denied the claims that Russian authorities might have been involved. All this is an absolute lie, he said. On Thursday, Putin said he had known Prigozhin for a very long time and called him a talented man, a talented businessman. In his op-ed, Johnson called it the height of conceit for Prigozhin to think Putin would forgive him for contesting his government. As we watch the chilling footage of that plane spiraling to Earth, we are witnessing something historic. This is the violent liquidation on TV of his enemies by an existing head of state. I cannot think of another example of such ostentatious and uninhibited savagery by the world leader, not in our lifetimes, Johnson wrote. The mask is now fully off. Putin stands exposed as the gangster, and his absurd televised tribute to the dead Wagnerity is straight from the pages of The Godfather, Johnson concluded.